This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Frank Warren here at the new Peacock Gym. Yeah. Frank, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a tremendous gym, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's a beautiful setup.
It is, and they've done a fantastic job. Tony and Martin, brilliant job here.
Do you want to just explain to everyone how come the decision's been taken to move the Peacock, or certainly the professional fighters, out to the new location?
Well, that was down to the two guys, and Tony and Martin felt they wanted to change and build something different, and that's what they've done. And they've built this facility, which is like the 21st century gym for boxing.
We've obviously come down today and we're seeing Daniel Dubois kind of tapering down ahead of Saturday night. From what you've seen of Daniel, from what you've been talking to him about, how's he feeling heading into Saturday?
Well, he's been very frustrated, like most people, most fighters, that he's not been able to work. So I'm sure, hoping there's been a lot of controlled frustration and he can take it out on the opponent on Saturday.
I take it we're expecting to see another devastating performance though from Daniel come Saturday night.
Well, look, he's a devastating puncher. He's a good boxer too. And he's maturing. He's still a young man, but he's maturing. I mean, since the last time I see him, he looks much bigger. So, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for an explosive performance from him.
Now, obviously, originally Daniel was due to face Eric Pfeiffer. Can you just explain to everyone why that fight is not going ahead now and why Hrgovic is stepping in?
Well, I don't know if anybody else has seen the videos that the interviews we did yesterday. I showed all the paperwork, which I haven't got with me today. But the bottom line was, we did 2 fights with the German promoter. One was for Wallish to fight Joe Joyce, and I showed on was it IFL, whatever I did yesterday, the documents that they sent through, which was a MRI scan for the fight for Pfeiffer against Andi. They sent through last Monday an MRA scan, which is totally different, not good enough, and the time factor. Despite the fact we had these press conference, 8 weeks ago for the fight, whatever it was, it took them all that time to get the medicals, and they were not the right medical that they sent through, so that caused us a problem, and we could not risk him coming in, especially with the situation with getting opponents from abroad and so forth, and it was just too late. So that's down to his manager, and basically for his incompetence on their behalf. They knew what they had to do. They certainly did it for the Wallach fight. And therefore we had a standby, and we went straight to the standby because Daniel's got to fight this Saturday. We can't push it back because we've got a date booked, providing Daniel wins, for the 24th of October for him and Joe Joyce. And I can't be putting that fight back a couple of weeks to some guy, his team or he did not send through the right medicals. I can't be in that position, and Daniel can't be in that position. We're in the Daniel Dubois business, not in the Pfeiffer business.
Hrgovic stepping in. What should we expect to see from him, and what do you know about him personally, Frank?
Well, he's 18-1. He was a cruiserweight. He's come up to heavyweight. He's had a fight at heavyweight. What do I expect from him? I think he will try and take his opportunity. He says that it's a big, he's a potential banana skin. We see on Saturday what happens with banana skins. With we see even Tyson nearly have a problem when he got that bad cut before the fight with Wilder. So anything can happen. He's got to be at the top of his game, but he's a young man. He's got ambition. He's a tremendous talent and prospects, and I think that if he does what he normally does, I think he'll be explosive. But I think the other guy will come to the fight. He's got a kickback boxing background, so they're all pretty tough guys, and they like to fight. But as you say, he's done it 18-1. I think he's 6-1, whatever it is, 6-1.5. It's the fight we've made, and that's what it is. And now it's up to Daniel to ensure it isn't a banana skin.
Just to work through the card, Frank, let's go into Edwards Asomba now. I spoke to Thomas yesterday, and Thomas Asomba's very up for this fight. He certainly thinks he can pull off what he's seen as an upset. What should we expect from that fight?
I think it's be a cracking fight, and he is up for it. These fights now, I think, are quite interesting in as much that someone would be going into the other guy's backyard. He'd have his supporters there. There's none of that. You're going into a neutral venue. And what I've noticed in all these fights, the opponents is getting a bit more out of them. They're not going into the lion's den. They're going into to an environment, sterile environment. There are no crowds there. So I don't know. It seems to be getting more out of the opponents. So I think it's going to be a cracking fight.
David Adeleye, we're still waiting for kind of confirmation as to who he'll face, but there's still a lot of excitement building around him. How excited are you personally to see him back in the ring come Saturday?
Well, please listen, he's a young man. It's only his 3rd fight, which amazingly, though, his 2nd fight was watched by nearly 4 million people on BT YouTube, which is 4 million people. It's just amazing. But he's a young man. He's a young man who's in a hurry. But we've got to take our time. He's in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry. So he'll fight regularly. We'll get him out there, and he's got to learn. He's got to learn. He's got a long way to go yet. But he's certainly up for it, and he's certainly a very dedicated professional. So I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to get himself into a good position in his next 6 or 7 fights.
Willie Hutchinson versus Luke Blackledge, a good step up for Willie. Everybody excited to see where his career progresses now. He's got past that 10-0 phase now. What should we expect from that one, Frank?
Well, from Willie, I want to get him. Blackledge is out at the moment, so we're looking at another opponent. Yeah. But what am I looking from Willie? I want to obviously as we're speaking, they're looking for another opponent, but I want him, provided he comes through on Saturday, I want him in a title fight in his next fight. If he comes through, he's at that level, and he's a very competent fighter. The problem we've had is not knowing over his last few fights whether he's a super middleweight or a light heavy. But I think he's going to be. I hope and I believe he's going to be, from what I understand, a light heavyweight. And if that's where he's at, then we can start making some serious plans for him.
Just a couple of things I want to touch on, Frank, away from this card. Obviously, after my colleague Rob Tebbett spoke to you, he did an interview with Eddie. Eddie just kind of says he doesn't know where the Whyte talks come from between Whyte and Dubois, because he knows Daniel's got contracts with the Snijders fight and then Joe Joyce, and Dillian's contracted to face Alexander Povetkin. What's kind of the thinking behind it, knowing that those guys seem to be tied up for certainly the near future?
I was hoping that the thing with we want to get the fight on with Tyson and AJ, so that would tie up them. And I thought in the meantime, if they come through their respective fights, we could then make the fight between Dillian and Daniel. It's a fight that everybody'd like to see.
He did say that he doesn't see it happening, particularly for this time being, but he said that he'd be up for maybe a Philip Hrgovic Daniel Dubois fight. That would be of any interest to you?
I'm interested in sitting down and talking with him. I'm not going to do it over here. I told you the fight I wanted. I knew what happened with Dillian. I knew Daniel could do the same thing, and I don't think anybody's in the position now to tell us what Dillian wants or what anybody else wants. We will sit down. We've got a list of fights that we want to make, and if you look at those fights, most of them were domestic bust-ups, British, except for I think Liam Williams, who obviously is a mandatory challenger to Andrade, who's with Matchroom. So that's what we're looking for. The all-British fights. Chisora, Joe Joyce. That's the fights we're looking for.
And he did say that he was having kind of this week to reflect, and then he'll be in touch with yourself to try and set something up for next week. Are you looking forward to that, to finally kind of getting things moving?
Well, I think I'll put it out.
Face to face, I mean.
I put it out a month ago, didn't I? So I think whatever it is, what period of time, and that's the reason we put it out there. We want to get these done.
Just to move away from that one, Frank, there's been some rumours about Anthony Yarde's next opponent, that it might be Dex Spellman. Can you kind of just confirm or just update us as to what's going on with Anthony?
Yes, we'll be making an announcement regarding Anthony tomorrow.
Will it be Dex Spellman?
You'll find out tomorrow.
Final thing from me, Frank. Obviously, everybody's kind of waiting to see what happens with Wilder Fury. You've said that Tyson, no matter what, wants to be out by the end of this year. If it isn't Deontay Wilder, are you making kind of plans in the background for a potential other opponent?
Haven't made any plans at all. He's contracted to fight Deontay. We're just hoping the fact that, if you probably are aware, the fight in February was the highest grossing heavyweight fight to ever take place in Vegas. We got to replace that gate money to make it work. So we're looking at a few venues around the world and trying to get some deals on, and hopefully we'll get something on. But whatever happens, Tyson wants to fight this year, so I'm hoping it's going to be Deontay Wilder on December the 19th. If we can't, then we've got to look at other options because he wants to be out.
A few people are kind of surprised that, we've seen Tyson's vocal about that third fight, but we haven't really seen much from Deontay. Has it surprised you at all?
No, not at all. I think it's a contract and that's it. He's made some statements, hasn't he, that he wants to rematch, and that's the direction we're going.
Well, Frank, I will leave that there now because I know you've got a queue behind me. Thank you for your time as always, and thanks for being boxing.